It's rant time, guys and girls. I know you guys love the rants. So anytime I post a photo or a video or anything, and even if I'm not using it, but they see it in the background, I get a heap of messages saying, put the GuArD on your angle grinder. I want to have a rant about that. I believe firmly that anybody who sends a message like that did not pass or even possibly attend basic high school physics. And they're also making a lot of assumptions about what I do. So, first of all, always wear eye protection when using a grinder. The safety squints? No, because these things can absolutely injure you in terrible ways, even kill you. They can cause permanent damage to you. However, a 100mm, 1mm thick zip disc cutoff wheel exploding is not something that's going to kill you or embed itself in safety glasses like you see in those horrifying photos like this that go around the internet. But your eyes are very, very fragile, and a fragment of it, or even a spark from that getting in your eyes, it's a bad day, let me tell you. And even if you've got safety glasses and a face shield on, those bastards, they'll bounce off different places, defy the laws of physics, and still get in your eyes. So that's why I'm a big fan of full face shields like the VersaFlow or the SchmersaFlow. I did a video on reviewing the VersaFlow quite a while ago, and then not too long ago I did a video doing the budget version of the VersaFlow, which you can check out there. I highly recommend those. An angle grinder spark is not getting past one of those. But these 1mm thick, 40 thou thick cutoff wheels simply do not have enough mass to be able to do much damage if they explode, no matter how fast they're going, because these can only achieve so much velocity. It's just physics and air resistance. If you're grinding with it in line with your face here, 4 inches away from your face, yeah, sure, you might do some damage if that explodes. But it's about common sense use. When I'm grinding or when I'm cutting with a cutoff disc, I am not standing in plane with it. I'm always off to the side. I always have 2 hands on it, because one of the real dangers, and one that is an actual danger that this will do serious damage with, is kickback. If it gets bound in there or something and suddenly flies off and flies back with rotational force, that will slice through safety glasses and all sorts of things. That's dangerous. The other thing that's dangerous is the 9-inch grinders, the ones with the really big wheels. They don't come with 1mm cutoff discs. You can only get them down to about an 1/8 inch, I think. And those things do have some mass behind them. And also the smaller cutting wheels, when you get the thicker ones, the wider ones, they can have some mass. But this exploding does not have enough mass to do any damage unless it hits you directly in the eye. So if you're wearing eye protection, that can't happen. Now, there's more to it than that. If ever I'm using an angle grinder with a grinding disc, one of these, I have the GuArD on, because that's got serious mass to it, and when they explode, that's a bad day. I also use a GuArD and a leather apron when I'm using a wire wheel, because these little bits of wire can fly off and they'll embed themselves in places you don't want them to embed themselves. So I don't use a GuArD when I'm using a cutoff disc. A thin cutoff disc. I would rather see what I'm doing and be safe that way, because torque during that and not keeping it correctly in line and trying to go around curves, that's what's going to break it. But if you have 2 hands on it, keeping it steady, you're out of the plane of rotation. The only thing that's going to hit, because when it explodes, it can only explode out in the direction of the rotation, centripetal force. This is high school physics. This is really basic stuff. It can only come out in line with it. If I'm grinding standing off to the side while I'm grinding here, it's not going to explode and fly this way. And even if for some weird trick of physics it did, it would immediately meet air resistance and slow down a huge deal, and wouldn't do anything more than a light scrape on my skin. So, small 4 or 5 inch thin, 1mm thin cutoff wheels, not as dangerous as all that. You know what is dangerous? Forging, running a forge, driving a car. You know, these things are actually dangerous, and people do them every day. Let 16-year-olds drive a car. But you put an angle grinder in a video without a freaking guard on it, and people lose their minds. Now, this is a battery-powered angle grinder. So I did want to make one more comment. Battery-powered angle grinders, for the most part, there are brands where this is different, like the higher-end brands where this is a different story, but cheaper ones like this Ryobi, they only have so much torque that they can generate. But you compare that to a corded angle grinder that actually plugs into an outlet on the wall, these things have so much more power. Like, you have no idea. There's like at least twice as much power. The torque that these can generate because of the power that they're getting is immense. And you'll notice that I keep a guard on this one at all times, because this one will betray you in a second.
So there are a few great videos out there that agree with me, and actually some of them do experiments that show just how little damage exploding discs actually do. I'll link them up in the corner as I'm talking here. But I know that the comments are going to be filled with, oh, I've been doing this 96 years and I've seen people lose their, whole heads get chopped off. My own head was chopped off by an angle grinder disc being exploding, and all of these comments are going to roll in. But before you type those comments, ask yourself, was it a cutoff wheel? Was it a 1mm cutoff wheel? Was it a 4 or 5 inch cutoff wheel? Most likely it was a grinder disc, not a cutoff disc, or it was a 9-inch grinder, which those things are death machines, let me tell you, no matter what type of disc you've got on them. And was the person screwing around by trying to surface grind using a cutoff wheel or something like that, putting lateral force on it? Were they standing in plane with it when the accident happened? Ask yourself those questions. Don't just look at it, oh, a grinder hurt a person. Ask those questions first. If somebody has a first-hand account of a ultra-thin zip disc exploding, flying laterally away from the grinder out of the plane of rotation and still managing to embed itself in somebody's safety glasses or face shield, feel free to comment that. But everything else is just not in line with what I'm saying here. I don't use grinder guards when I'm using thin cutoff wheels only on small wheel grinders, 4 and 5 inch grinders. So, yeah. So, I guess the overall message of this video is just a short one that I can link people to when they send me this shitty assumptive comments like, oh, you should have a guard on. They're not as dangerous as all that. Stop fear-mongering. The world is a dangerous place. You take your life into your hands every time you get into a car or get onto a plane or get onto a train. Every time you get drunk of an evening down at the pub with your boys. You take your life into your hands if you go to a Japanese restaurant and eat pufferfish. You don't go on to people who are doing skydiving videos and those wingsuit videos and going, oh, you shouldn't do that, that's unsafe. Life is unsafe. If I'm at most going to get a light scrape from one of these little thin wheels exploding, it's my choice to make. I don't mind getting scrapes. I'm not scared. And I don't like other people to live their life scared. So, rant over. That's all I have to say about it. If you're using one of those big 9-inch grinder wheels, yeah, be safe, okay? Don't use a cut-off wheel as a grinding wheel. It puts torque on it. Check your wheel before you use it to see that it's not splitting apart. And just don't stand in the plane of it. Don't be grinding like this. If the sparks are hitting you in the face, that's probably a good sign that you should maybe move it offset. Just common sense, guys. Common sense and basic high school physics. So, that's all I have to say. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.
me down.